Hi everybody, welcome back. If you don't know, my name is Cooper, and today we're going to be doing a very highly requested video. You guys have been asking for this for quite a while, so I figure I might as well give it to you. So today I'm going to be redesigning your guys' spaces, which I absolutely love to see. Before we start, I just wanted to give you guys a brief disclaimer that the final designs in this project are purely based on the images that you send me, so I don't have exact measurements and exact details, and it's not, down to the nail like that. So take these designs with a grain of salt and not something that is fully comprehensive. The first space that we're going to be looking at today is this very simple square bedroom. Right now, it seems like we have a pretty simple base. It's just simple white bedding, a paper lampshade, which is pretty, and then a little nightstand. Seems like maybe this person just moved into their place, or I don't know, something like that. I think doing something a little bit more moody might be the best idea, just because it doesn't seem to get the most direct lighting or have the most windows. So one of the reasons why I picked this room specifically to redesign for you guys is because I feel like this is such a staple room in any apartment that you move into. And so I think a lot of us have spaces that look like this. So I thought, okay, great. Let me give you guys some inspo and show you how I would design it. I also just wanted to say that just because I'm redesigning these rooms doesn't mean they're not already a good foundation or they're lacking in some kind of way. This was all for fun, and you guys sent me these to redesign. So this video is all in good fun, and a lot of you guys already have a great start to a beautiful space. So the first thing that I want to do here is just, wipe the slate clean. This is kind of what I would imagine the window would look like. Obviously, couldn't see behind the curtain, and honestly, there's not a ton to say about it, so I think we should just get started and start mixing it up a little bit. Okay, so what I did was I added in this really cute floral wallpaper, and then I also added in this really big cream rug. It actually seems like this person's apartment has almost the exact kind of flooring that I do, and it's luxury vinyl plank, so that's not fantastic, but also, it's workable. It's not the end of the world. You can always help it a little bit by adding a rug. So that's exactly what we did here. The next thing that I want to do for this room is add in some curtains. I really think it would be great to have curtains in here. I think they always warm up a space and make it feel a little bit more homey. And because this is such a sterile, modern style apartment, I think it would help bring in some more character. I did these deep dark brown curtains. I really like them. I think they are really cute, and I did track curtains as well. If you guys don't know, something that I would always recommend to everybody is to opt for track curtains over any other kind, like the curtains with the rungs and the rods. So get track curtains. If you're getting curtains, I think they always look the most seamless. Basically, you don't see any of like the attachment between the curtain rod and the curtain, and it just runs on a track, and they open and close really easily, and I think they just look, the best. Okay, so you guys, please don't freak out at me. I know. This does not look like the room that you just saw. And that's because I changed my mind and I kept everything. I just changed the wallpaper and the ceiling. I painted the room this kind of butter yellow color, and then I also painted the ceiling a little bit of a darker yellow. So I don't know, I guess the wallpaper was just feeling a little bit too busy to me and not really aligning with what I pictured for this room. So I also went ahead and added a beautiful little bed in here. I thought to match this color scheme, a mid-century bed frame would be the best idea. And then just to bring some color in, I did some olive green bedding. For bedrooms, I really like to do more monochromatic moments just because it is where you're sleeping, and I feel like too much color contrast in the area that you're sleeping might be like too much visual contrast for when you are trying to relax and when you're trying to go to bed. I definitely think designing spaces around what they're used for is very important. And if you go into your room and it's like 9 different bright colors, it might be a little bit difficult to fall asleep at night because it's very busy and energetic. The next thing that I wanted to do for this room is make it feel a little bit less barren and a little bit less empty. We have this wall right next to the window. It's feeling really blank to me. I definitely think we need something there. And I thought this would be a great opportunity to have a desk area and some extra storage. I found this really great mid-century wall unit that also has a desk area. Yeah, I thought this looked pretty good. I also added some nightstands for the bed because, you know, when you sleep, it's usually nice to have a place to put your water. I did these dark brown nightstands. They're not anything too special. I wanted to keep them pretty toned down just because we do have this very like large wall unit in the room that is very like in your face. So the next thing we need to deal with is the wall across from the bed. Obviously, I am an interior designer, so I hate TVs. This is a huge trope for interior designers. You know, we all hate TVs because we would rather have something that's not hideous. But I'm biting the bullet today. I'm like, okay, this is a real person's house. I know they're gonna want a TV in their bedroom. And so I did this little wooden console table on the bottom. I selected something a little bit more low-lying just so we can have TV at eye level when you're in the bed, and to make sure that the room still feels a little bit taller, just because I think that when you do a really tall dresser in a space, a smaller space especially, it can kind of bring down the ceilings a little bit, just because you have this like kind of awkward what is that called? Awkward gap between, I guess, the top of the dresser and the ceiling that's like doesn't look right. At least it doesn't look right to me. So next thing we need to do is add some lighting. Obviously, this is a room that people live in, so they're gonna need some lights. I did these 2 table lamps. They're a little bit more of a traditional style with a lampshade and a simple base, just because we already do have a lot of statement furniture in this room. I also did this little Noguchi lamp on the desk just to tie in kind of that Japan-y style to mix it up. Now we have pretty much everything in this room that we need, so I'm gonna put some finishing touches on everything and then we will see the final result. Voila, this is the final space. I actually am a lot more obsessed than I thought I was going to be with this space. I really love the more neutral style, but it's also really warm and cozy. The next space that we are working with is this beautiful apartment. I'm not exactly sure where it is, but it's absolutely gorgeous. Already, I think this person has a pretty good, you know, base down, but I think that we can elevate this space a little bit, make it a little bit more put together. Anyway, let's design it. Let's empty it out. Let's clear it out. Let's start from scratch-ish, and yeah. So here we have the empty space. We've got this kind of brown rug, which is not my favorite, and then we've got this black fireplace, which is fantastic. I think we can definitely work that into the design. And then we have this really cool built-in bookshelf to the right of the fireplace. This is a really great detail. For this specific apartment, I wanted to keep this person's couch because I definitely think that they would not need to get a new couch. If they were my client, I would say, let's keep the couch. The couch is great. It looks comfortable and it seems like it functions pretty well. So we're going to keep the couch and then get rid of everything else. Not that I hate everything else you have, but you know, I'm redesigning it. I'm not just rearranging. Even though that we have a rug down in here, I still think that we can add an area rug just to cover it up a little bit. The carpet that we do have in here isn't exactly like anything fantastic. So I definitely think a rug would be a great opportunity to bring some color into the space and make it a little bit more fun and a little bit less white and beige just because their couch is tan. I did this beautiful, fantastic, amazing blue rug. I don't know why, but this space was already giving light and airy, and I felt like I don't want to change that. It was so nice and bright. They get so much light through those windows, and I just think that keeping that energy for the space is the best idea. And I thought it'd be a cool opportunity to show you guys how to design around a more statement color rug, because I do get a lot of questions about that. The next thing that I'm going to do is add curtains to the space. You know, as I said before, very important, brings a lot of warmth, and it's always nice to have curtains just in case there's a glare or whatever. Because we have such high ceilings in this space and such a statement color for a rug, I just wanted to keep it simple and neutral for the window treatments, just because I don't want to do something super dark because I feel like it might weigh it down a little bit. I love this little nook that we have at the end of the living room, and I thought, okay, this is a really great little seating area that I think would be perfect to put some chairs. I did these really beautiful mid-century style velvet dusty rose kind of chairs. These are super pretty. Next thing I wanted to add in is a coffee table. I did this really great dark wood coffee table, and I found one that's more in a traditional style just because I do want to incorporate some of those elements that are kind of consistent with the traditional architecture that we do have going on in here. So we have a little bit changed now. I added in lighting and a little side table. So I did this really cool and sculptural pendant light. It has this like very thin black metal wire, and then there's kind of this sheer cloth that's draped over it. I just love this piece of lighting. I think it's so nice, and I don't know, I think it brings like such a nice warmth to the space. I also did this really cool art deco sconce over by the fireplace. I only needed one just because it's kind of a lot, so I didn't want to like overdo it with that sconce. I also did it in bronze, so you can see that we're already starting to mix metals here. As always, I added in a beautiful tree. I thought something really tall would kind of accentuate the height of the ceiling and make it feel like a little bit lofty in here. Yeah, this is pretty much all the basic pieces that we have, so I'm going to put the final touches on this space and we will go from there. All right, so you guys don't even have to say it. It's perfect and it is amazing and I love it. So I added some final touches. I did some really cool artwork for the space and just added some basic decor like some candles and some books. Just things that people would already have around their house. I definitely think having decor that you actually use is the best idea. I'm always getting comments on my videos saying, why is your ledge behind your couch stacked with books? You can't do that. But also, I read my books when I have guests over, and I love to flip through them. You can ask anybody in my life. Okay, so I wanted to take a little quick break to talk about the sponsor of today's video, which is Coohom 3D interior design software. If you've been wondering how I've been doing these fantastic and amazing and show-stopping designs, it is using Coohom. It's honestly become one of my go-to tools when it comes to client work and just, you know, in general. I love to use it to test out different ideas on my apartment, and it's not something that is super complicated. It doesn't matter whether you're a regular person or a designer or a decorator, you know, it's super easy to use. It only takes about a day to learn, and I think it's really important to understand how you want your space to feel and how you want it to look as a final product before making really large investments and spending your money, because you never want to order that $3,000 couch and then you have to send it back. With Coohom, you can just open it up, drag in furniture, and play with textures, and then literally 5 seconds later, your renderings will be done and you can see it. It does not take a long time at all, and there is 2K, 4K, and even 8K renderings, which are all fantastic. You can also switch between floor plans, experiment with different materials, and even adjust natural lighting to see how the room changes throughout the day. Whether you're redesigning your space or just figuring out your style, Coohom is by far the best option. If you want a little bit more information about Coohom, you can check my description and you can use code Cooper Plants for 73% off your subscription, because wow, 73%, that's a lot of percent. So you should go and get a Coohom subscription because they are fantastic. Thank you to Coohom for sponsoring today's video. All right, guys, so now we're going to be designing our last space. Yes, I am only designing 3 spaces because redesigning these takes me like 6 hours each. I'm crazy and super detail oriented, but let's get back to business. The next space that we're going to be designing is very lovely. I really like the architecture that we do have going on here. We've got this kind of living room, dining room situation. This looks like it's in an older home, and honestly, this is kind of the space that I'm looking for in my next apartment. Something older, something around this size. Yeah, it's really great. I think we have a lot of potential here. I will say that this person's style is definitely not my cup of tea. which is totally fine because we all have different styles, and I respect that. But I definitely think that we can do something really, really fun with this space, and if you like it, you like it. You don't, you don't, and it's just for fun at the end of the day. So let's empty this space out and get a look at it with no furniture so we can really break it down. For this space, we've got a couple pretty big windows, which let in quite a bit of light. We've got these really beautiful floors, which are great. And then we have more traditional architecture and everything. So it looks like to me what happened here is maybe a landlord or this person who lives here. Sorry, I'm not trying to bash you here, but I think these gray colors are really what is doing the space dirty a little bit because it is super beautiful, and I think it's just making it feel a little bit more cold than it should, at least in my opinion. I am going to start off with the living area, and I'm going to paint the space first. As I said before, this gray is really what's throwing it off. I think if we bring in some color, we can really make the vibes a little bit better. So what I did was I actually color drenched. I haven't actually done a application of this in my work, so I am excited to see how it turns out. I color drenched both rooms. I did the living room in this really nice light mint green kind of color. It's really subtle. And then I did the dining room in a really light kind of buttery yellow. There is more windows in the dining area, so I thought a lighter color in there could be really cool. I kind of want to go for like a cozy living room, and then the dining room I really wanted to feel like kind of like a solarium or something like that, just because it looks like it gets a lot of light. So the first thing that I'm going to do here is add a rug. I'm going to keep it pretty simple in this space just because we already have some color going on. We've got those mint green walls, we've got those yellow walls, so I think we can do something pretty neutral. And I also really like the flooring in here, so I'm not trying to draw the eye away from that. I did a nice little more durable seeming rug. This is going to be a really high traffic area, I presume, because I believe the front door is behind the living room. This is also a space that we need to make sure has a really good flow, because if you're having to walk through the living room to get to your dining room and your kitchen and the other areas of your home, you don't want furniture to get in the way. I just feel like maybe going a little bit more minimal on the furniture in this room would probably be the best route to go, so then that way we don't run into any problems when it comes to walking around. Nobody likes to walk in the door with a bunch of groceries and then stub their toe on something. I did this really cool low-lying contemporary sofa. It has a beautiful wooden base, and then it has dark red velvet for its upholstery, which I think is really cool, and I think it creates kind of a nice contrast to the mint green walls that we have. This couch is really great. It's not too big, so that way you still have some flow around it, and you can see clearly through to the dining room. I think that we need to make sure the furniture in this room is also pretty low-lying, just because any large obstructions will really make the space feel closed off. Blocking it off would also make it feel a little bit darker in that sense. The next thing that I want to add is some additional seating. Rather than doing another couch, I thought it would be good to do 2 chairs. I found these really cool sculptural chairs that I thought went well with this couch, and they kind of bring in a little bit more contrast because they are very, stark. The next thing that we need is a coffee table. So I thought we should go a really fun route. I've been seeing these kind of like sparsely, but whenever I see them, I always love them, and that is a grid coffee table. Here, I did this one with a nice wood and a chrome base to tie in those chairs. I don't know, I just really love the way these look. I think they're super cute. I don't know if they're the most functional furniture piece, but I think that if you went to a glass blower and just asked for a custom tabletop, I think it wouldn't be a huge deal. And that way you don't have your cup of coffee falling through the little holes in the grid. As I did with the other designs, I added in some curtains. I did add in a little bit of a heavier curtain in this room because we do have a lot of that light that comes through the dining area. So just trust the process here. I'm gonna lighten it up, don't you worry. I did these really cute dark brown curtains. They kind of tie in the chairs a little bit and extend the ceilings a little bit more. Because it's a very long space, the ceilings can kind of feel a little bit low. So when we get these vertical lines in the room, it can really help raise the ceiling a little bit. Then I think some storage in this room is definitely necessary. We do have this wall in between the 2 windows that feels a little bit empty, and I feel like because of this furniture layout that we did choose, I think that doing a console table here would probably be the best route to go. I chose this wooden console table. It's really simple, and I thought it would tie in those modern elements without feeling super sterile. And then across from that, we did a giant mid-century wall unit. Are we surprised? I can guarantee you that you are not surprised by this because I love a mid-century wall unit. We all know that. This is a teak and chrome one that kind of ties in the vibe, and yeah, I think it looks great. So now that we have the basics done in the living room, I want to move on to the dining area. As I said before, we painted it this nice light butter yellow color. We need to address the elephant in the room. So let's talk about the ceiling fan. Obviously, this was pre-existing to when this person moved into this place, but I hate ceiling fans. They're probably like my number one enemy. I think they are probably the worst design choice that you can make for your house. They instantly cheapen things and just make it look so much worse. If the issue is having a fan for coolness, you can get a super beautiful vintage industrial fan that will blow 10 times better than your ceiling fans. I can't deal with the ceiling fan. Can't. Since we've got all this extra light in here and we've got these lighter walls, I thought the best course of action would be to do a darker rug. I thought this would be a really great opportunity because we've got all of this extra light. So I did this really nice dark brown rug to kind of tie in the curtains from the living room and ground the space a little bit more since it's pretty bright. The next thing that we're going to need, obviously, is a dining table. I did this really nice, simple, rectangular dining table. It's not really anything too special. The next thing that we are going to do is chairs. So I found these really great chrome and dark brown leather chairs. They have this like kind of hype industrial look to them that I think is pretty cool and has a lot of character, which I think integrates really well with the architecture of the room. Obviously, we're feeling very neutral in this room right now, so we're definitely going to need to mix it up. The next thing that I wanted to add is curtains. As always, I've explained myself a million times already in this video, so I will save you the time. But I did this kind of rusty brick color just to add a little bit more of a color in the room. Okay, so now comes the fun part, and that's getting rid of the ceiling fan because I don't like the ceiling fan and it needs to go. So we replaced it with this really insane chandelier. This is actually one of the craziest things I have really seen, and it is beautiful. I think it adds such a elegant look to the space and kind of brings this dining room to a new level. We still are very neutral here, so I thought adding in some artwork would be a great idea, and I didn't show you the artwork that I'm adding in the other room just yet, but I thought that because this dining room is so simple and you don't need to have a ton of furniture, that showing you the artwork would be good. So in this room, I decided to do a really beautiful, bright piece of artwork. This piece of artwork really spoke the essence of this dining room. It's this beautiful, bright blue with these yellow lilies. I don't know, I think it's so pretty, and it adds such a pop of color that's so needed. We need to address this wall. We have a blank wall on the other side of the dining room, and we can't have that. We need it to be fun and interesting. I did this really nice little console. It's not too loud, it's not too bright, but it still brings in that little pop of color. So now we finished all of the basics for this space. So now it's time for the big reveal. So we have the final product. This is the living room area. Obviously, you can see I added in this beautiful tree and this massive piece of artwork. I thought it would be great to kind of keep the art in like a flower theme. Just adding in some little, decor pieces, things that people would have around their home, as I said before. I really love how this looks, and honestly, this is kind of like goals for my next apartment or house that I'm living in, so I'm so excited about it, and I could only dream for my space to look like this. But yeah, I think we did a fantastic job on this last one, and I think that was a good note to leave everything on. Thank you again to Coohom for sponsoring this video. They are fantastic, and for some more information about them, you can check out the description of this video. And if you would like to hire me as your interior decorator, I am available. You can visit my website, which is cooperosinski.com, and book a consultation straight from there. You can find a ton of information and some previous work that I've done. And yeah, I would love to sign you. So check that out if you need some help with your space. I am always happy to help. It's my favorite thing. As usual, you can find me on Instagram at Cooper Osinski Interiors. and Cooper plants everywhere else. Also, I did want to mention that I do have a TikTok live stream on Monday, May 27th at 5 p.m. PST, where I'm going to be working on some client projects and some fun projects just for myself using Coohom, and it'll be a fun time. If you want to join that, you're welcome to. There will also be a very special giveaway on that live stream, so it's up to you if you want to join it. I hope you guys are having a great day, whatever day you're watching this, and I will see you next time. Before I forget, I did want to mention to you guys that I am posting 2 times a week now that it is summer. I will be posting Thursdays at 12 p.m. PST and Sundays at 6 a.m. PST, so you know, you get 2 videos from me a week now, and I will be here. So yeah, bye.